Raphinha has outshined Kylian Mbappe and Dembele during the match between Barcelona and PSG. Barcelona were able to defeat PSG 3-2, and Raphinha was at the center of everything. Raphinha surprised the world by scoring 2 goals, and he was running like a bull. Many people that saw this game were only talking about Raphinha, and at the current form that Raphinha is in right now, any team would love to have the player. Now, Raphinha's career has never been like this before. Like the way that we're seeing him today, it has never been like that. In the first season at Barcelona, he was always seen as the second option. We saw him as the second option behind Dembele because Xavi Hernandez said, I would much rather prefer Dembele and I can make it Dembele the best in the world in his position. That was basically the whole agenda. And so Raphinha found himself in a very limited role at Barcelona. He could not even play as a left winger. Even though Raphinha was tried on the left wing, it just did not work out. And I remember throughout those times when Dembele was playing amazing and Xavi Hernandez was bringing results at Barcelona, right? Barcelona were having great defensive displays. Throughout those times, everybody was saying every time Raphinha gets on the pitch, he doesn't really play like a real Brazilian. Like he does not have the style. And so many people were not really agreeing with Raphinha going to Barcelona. They just said that it was a mistake. But then came the moment on January 2023 when Dembele got injured. Dembele was injured for like 3 months, and we also saw Ansu Fati and Ferran Torres not at their best level. And that is where Raphinha came in and he had to step up. But here's the thing, when Raphinha had to take the place of Dembele throughout those 3 months, it just did not give the same effect because Dembele, every time he had the ball, he cut in, tried to be creative. He was always looking for key passes. A lot of the Barcelona fans were preferring Dembele over Raphinha because Raphinha was just not cutting it. The only thing that he was able to do is to make runs behind the defense. And that was something that Barcelona were never looking for. So overall, it was an okay season for Raphinha. It was not like something amazing where many were saying that Raphinha was one of the best players for Barcelona in the season. It was just an okay season. Many people still preferred Dembele. But then came the preseason, and at that time during the preseason, which was in August 2023, Ansu Fati left to Brighton. Dembele made a shock move to PSG. I will speak about Dembele probably in a whole other different video, which will maybe come out tomorrow. But yeah, Dembele went to PSG, Lamine Yamal was barely brought up, and then we had Ferran Torres also coming up, and throughout that time, Ferran Torres was being called the Shark, right? Because he was playing amazing during the preseason, scored a few goals in the first few games for Barcelona in the season, and so we're like, okay, we can work around Ferran Torres, Lamine Yamal, and Raphinha. It was not the most ideal scenario though, because remember, at that time, we thought that the fact that Dembele left, it was a huge blow for the club. So through the season, we saw Raphinha score some goals, provide some assists, but Lamine Yamal was really coming up. His talent is just unexplainable. You cannot really talk about Lamine Yamal's talent at all because it's just unexplainable. The way that he was performing at 16 years old, I'm like, dude, so the fact that Lamine Yamal came up right after Dembele left, Raphinha can never catch a break. So then came the moment in January 2024 when Raphinha got injured. Very similar time frames to the one of Dembele back on 2023. And while Raphinha had to go out for a month, Lamine Yamal blossomed through those moments and through those weeks, and he was playing in every game, playing in every minute at just 16 years old. He played an amazing game versus Brazil. And so within those weeks, we're like, okay, Lamine Yamal is just amazing. He is just so good. And then reports started to come in about how Raphinha is going to go to Saudi Arabia because there were offers that were lended to Barcelona. There were some Premier League clubs that also wanted Raphinha. So things continued to go against this player. So like, yes, Lamine Yamal is probably the biggest blessing for Barcelona, but at the same time, we were like, why did we sign a 27-year-old Brazilian right winger then? Like, what is the whole point of having this player? He doesn't benefit Barcelona at all. So once Raphinha came back after his injury in January, he started to see new roles. Xavi Hernandez was like, okay, look, Raphinha cannot continue to be behind Lamine Yamal. We need to place this player in some capacity because he's good. It's just that he's very limited. So he started to work around Raphinha and said, okay, you're going to be playing on the left wing and also sometimes as a central attacking midfielder. A couple of games later, we started to realize that Raphinha was actually playing really good as a left winger, and he made the left wing his own. He was shifting left and right, from the right wing sometimes to the central attacking midfield area to the left wing. He was everywhere. He scored a goal against Las Palmas as a right central midfielder. So we're like, okay, something is going on here. Maybe Raphinha might actually come up for the first time. But then came the game between Barcelona and PSG, and Raphinha made the opener. He scored the first goal just before halftime. After the ball hit Donnarumma, Raphinha was able to shoot the ball to the bottom right corner. And the most important thing from all of this is that Raphinha scored a goal when Barcelona needed him the most. I want us to look at these two segments here. They're going to be circled or squared, but you can see that PSG were carrying a lot of attacking momentum, and then Raphinha scored the first goal. On the second half, you can see again PSG containing all of the attacking momentum. momentum. And then immediately through the midst of everything, while PSG was creating so much attacking momentum, Raphinha yet again scored. Raphinha reacted to what PSG was building, and that is what you call an elite mentality. Raphinha has it all. I do think that Raphinha has taken a step forward in his career. We went from, okay, he's gonna have to shift between Lamine Yamal here and there, and then sometimes play on the left wing, but mainly we want Ferran Torres on the left wing. Like, we had conversations like that, right? But now it is safe to say that Raphinha is a starter. Raphinha is someone who can come up for Barcelona when they need him. And so I remember at that moment when Raphinha scored the second goal, the whole team were going crazy. The Barcelona fans were cheering, they were loud, and Raphinha was celebrating his brace with a Neymar celebration in front of the PSG fans. I'm like, dude, this guy is just insane, and he's just so awesome for doing that. Really think about this, right? Because Raphinha scored 2 goals in this game, knowing damn well that the player that we sold to PSG, Dembele, also scored 2 goals, but within the time frame of the whole season for PSG. Really think about that. Dembele has only scored 2 goals throughout the whole course of this season with PSG in all competitions. Raphinha, with 1 game itself against PSG, scored 2 goals. Raphinha basically told to the world that PSG did Barcelona a favor by taking out the right winger that Barcelona did not really need. And PSG at that time thought they did something, and they thought that they were taking Barcelona's best winger. Raphinha had a different answer to that, and he made sure that Barcelona were the winners here, and he showcased this against PSG. What an amazing story. And it's fascinating, right? Because yet again, we have to thank Xavi Hernandez for bringing out the best out of Raphinha. Xavi is the main reason why Raphinha has been improving, because he has been adapting the game around Raphinha. Because remember what I said earlier in this video, Raphinha was not really needed at that time last season because we weren't really looking for a player like Raphinha. We never looked to make those passes to the space for Raphinha to run into. We always looked to find a player like Dembele, right, to pass the ball straight to his feet and to create goal scoring opportunities. But in this version of Barcelona, we're only laying off passes to space for Raphinha to run into, which is what we constantly see over and over again, and especially over the past 4 to 5 games. Let me put it to you like this. Dembele was a player that demanded the ball to go straight to his feet. Raphinha is a runner that can beat the opponent on a 1v1 duel. He can arrive first through his intensity, his runs, his physicalness. It is amazing. It's basically how Raphinha scored his second goal against PSG, with Pedri making an amazing assist to him and making the run behind the defense. He is a runner. Xavi Hernandez also explained this in the best way possible. He's one of the best players in the world in space. He's a goal scorer. He gives us dynamism. He throws off pressure. He's intense. He has a lot of virtues, and his main virtue is looking for the team. Raphinha is a player who thrives on wide open matches, transitions, and counterattacks. You would assume that Kylian Mbappe was going to do something like that and thrive off of situations like that. So I just think that Raphinha is very underrated because he can play in both flanks. Really think about that, right? Because there is no other player that Barcelona have right now that can play in both positions, on the left wing and also on the right wing position. Maybe Ferran Torres, but Raphinha does it much better. Kylian Mbappe was in a very similar situation before. Like, he can play on the right wing and on the left wing. He much rather prefers to play on the left wing, and that's mainly his position. And we know that is his strongest side. And we expected Kylian Mbappe to do something, right? Because he was in his best position. He was backed by Dembele, Luis Enrique had his tactics right, but Kylian Mbappe did not do anything, and Raphinha did everything. And this is no shade on Kylian Mbappe whatsoever. I do wish him the very best in his career, and I want him to succeed, and I want him to continue to be the best player in the world. But still, the fact that Raphinha has overshadowed Kylian Mbappe, it's huge news. And this is just the perfect example, and it does further my point on why I believe that unity will always overcome individualism. There were so many Barcelona fans and so many Real Madrid fans telling me, right? And yes, I did say that. Barcelona fans telling me that we should be scared because Kylian Mbappe is going to Real Madrid. And every time I do hear that Kylian Mbappe is going to Real Madrid, Barcelona is finished, I'm like, and what? Like, why does that matter? Because that's only going to make Barcelona stronger. Every time we see Barcelona perform as a collective, there is no team that can defeat that Barcelona team. We've seen this movie before. Look at how many Galactico eras we have gone through, which was back in 2002, 2010, and look at who came up through those times. It was always Barcelona. Every time we do see a strong Barcelona, a Barcelona that has an idea and they perform as a unit, can make any of their players overcome the best player in the world. Like, how in the world is Raphinha from Lille Leeds, right? He came from Leeds, going to score more than someone like Kylian Mbappe during a knockout round in the Champions League. It just doesn't make any sense. And the only reason why we saw that was because Xavi Hernandez knew what he was doing, and these players played their heart out, and they knew exactly what they needed to do to overcome PSG and Kylian Mbappe. Now you may say, no, Kevin, you're wrong. You're always wrong. You don't know what you're talking about, because Kylian Mbappe is going to go to Real Madrid and he's going to be having more support than at PSG. He's going to be having Vinicius, Camavinga, Tchouaméni, Valverde, and just trust me, Kevin, Barcelona is going to be finished. You're wrong. And again, I just say and what, dude? Like, I don't understand, like, where is the debate? Like, if you want to give out excuses, okay, then Barcelona played without a pivot. They relied on 2 teenagers. They played without Xavi. They played without a real left winger like Leao, Vinicius, Kylian Mbappe against PSG. Barcelona can be even bigger after this season. Just wait until next season. Barcelona and Real Madrid are going to continue to even each other out. And so the fact that Raphinha overcame other players against PSG further proves my point. Barcelona do not need to sign a world-class player. They just need to compete and play their football. If we can do that, Barcelona will do well. And if Barcelona do sign a world-class player, then good. It's only going to make Barcelona even stronger. And so that is it. That is going to be wrapping up today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.